final realm of sight, no realm of mind conscious, that it is neither ignorance nor extinction of ignorance, neither old age and death nor extinction of old age and death, no suffering, no cause, no cessation, no path, no knowledge, and no attainment, with nothing to attain. Bodhisattva relies on prajnaparamita. Thus the mind is without hindrance, without hindrance. There is no fear, far beyond all inverted views. One realizes nirvana, all Buddhas, the past, present, and future rely on prajnaparamita, and thereby attain unsurpassed complete perfection, enlightenment. Therefore know the prajnaparamita as the great miraculous mantra, the great right mantra, the supreme mantra, the incomparable mantra, which removes all suffering and is true, not false. Therefore we proclaim the prajnaparamita mantra, the mantra that says Radhe, 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 Asambhate, Bodhisattva. Please collect the sutra card. We would ask you to sit if we had chairs. You're welcome to sit on the grass. At this point, we ask each candidate, starting with Jasmine, to step forward and offer 3 pinches of incense. Step forward onto this cushion. And we make these pinches by small pinch, raise to the forehead, drop on the charcoal. The second one is raised to Buddha, and the third is on the charcoal. These 3 pinches of incense represent the 3 treasures, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Each return to your cushion. Buddha is the founder in India 2,500 years ago. The historical founder of Buddhism, Shakyamuni in India, but Buddha also means our self-nature. Each of these terms has double meaning. And probably many more meanings that we do not understand. Right? Dharma means the compassionate teaching. Be careful of that word. Dharma is not only the teaching as handed down to us through the spoken and written teaching, but it's also the law or the way of the world works that we witness in everyday life. You already caught up? Yes, sir. So, pinch to the forehead. If you raise to Buddha, and a third pinch for Sangha. most important Dharma is Zen, is that which you experience in daily life. But it's helpful to study the teachings of the ancestors. Sangha is the community of practitioners or trainees on the formal path. But it also means all of those, the original order in India, but also all of those who practice this way today. And the operative characteristic of Sangha is harmony, harmonious community. We all belong to many communities at work and other places, which are not necessarily harmonious. They don't qualify as a Sangha. So this is my seal of approval on these candidates. I'm going to ask Shikaku, Paul Baker, to read the sermon, explaining a little bit more about this sermon. These are the words of Matsuo Kuroshi.
Welcome. We gather to celebrate the initiation of these candidates onto the path of Zen, the way of enlightenment. We use the metaphors path and journey to describe the Zen life being undertaken. In early Buddhism, the phrase entering the stream was used. It suggests stepping into and being carried onward by the flowing Buddha wisdom. We use the English term initiation, which suggests a transition and the beginning of something new. This Tokudu ceremony is all these things and more. The term Tokudu is sometimes translated as attain the other shore, as we have just chanted the Great Heart Sutra. Tokudu is a celebration of both beginnings and endings, of undertaking and attainment. All these candidates are no newcomers to practice. They have been working hard for many years, and their practice is now strong and vital. They are well known to the Sangha and have made contributions to the center by regular attendance, and they support our activities. So while we call this an initiation, it is merely an acknowledgement of something well underway. There's a wonderful story from the Lotus Sutra about a young man who grows up with a loving father in a fine home filled with treasure. Yet in his confusion and anger, the boy runs away in search of riches. He travels for many years and undergoes many hardships, never finding his riches until all memory of his home and family are lost to him. Years later, his father spies a ragged beggar in the distance, yet immediately recognizes his lost son. He sends attendants out to welcome his son, yet the boy flees, thinking that they were sent to beat him. The wise father is troubled, but devises a plan to slowly regain his son's trust. He sends an attendant dressed as a beggar to inform the son that meals are to be had for work at the mansion. Gradually, over much time, the son is given more and more responsibility in his work until after many years, the lost son rises to oversee the mansion and all the father's business interests. Only then does the wise father finally reveal his true relationship to his lost son. Only then does the son finally realize his birthright, that the riches he sought so fruitlessly were always in his possession. Our practice is like this. Tokudu marks the beginning of a search for something we already possess. As part of the ceremony, the candidates will undertake 11 of the 16 Buddhist precepts, the 3 refuges, the 3 pure precepts, and the 5 grave precepts. The precepts are guidelines for living in accord with the Zen life. They help us to actualize and manifest our Zen practice. By undertaking the precepts, Tokudu becomes something we do, not just something we did. To bring our life into harmony and accord with the precepts requires attention to every action, every step.
Explain a little bit about what we're going to do next. Jukai means receiving the precepts. We're asked to go on to
He's explaining it right.
The phrase Jukai literally means receiving the precepts, but the character Ju can also mean giving. The wine flows both ways in this table. Fudo enriches and nourishes both the recipient and the sangha. Undertaking the Fudo is a great gift to the community and a cause of great celebration. The third pure precept the little mind and get on with the great matter of ending suffering.
Now we have the purification practice, purging the air, the space, and preparing the brow for the shade. You touch your brow with the water, and when it comes into the shade, it will not actually touch your head. Symbolic. Usually you will touch the knife. Chant Namu Takamuni Butsu, which means I take refuge in the Buddha. Takamuni Buddha. So we chant that usually 3 times. I think it will take us about 9 times. Namu Takamuni Buddha, I take refuge in Takamuni. Namu Takamuni Butsu, I take refuge in Takamuni. Kind of that. So please chant with me. Namu I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. Namu Shakyamuni I take refuge in Buddha. Namu Shakyamuni I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. Now the symbolic shaving of the head. Hey, hot. All right, shave your head. Hey, hot. Shave your head. Hey, hot. You don't need to shave your head. The shaving of the head was partially hygienic, probably, but it's also symbolic. It's symbolic of leaving behind the past, entering upon a new life, and mainly, leaving behind your own opinion of your own past. Now I need hair and makeup. So next is the repentance and refuges. in which we do the acknowledgement of karma. They won't have to have anything. You will repeat after me. And the Doan will lead the chant by chanting each title. First, the acknowledgement of karma. Then after the small gong, once I recite the line, all the karmic action ever committed by me since of old, small gong, then you all repeat that back to me. Acknowledgement of karma, big gong. We're not the precepts yet. Acknowledgement of karma. All the karmic action ever committed by me since of old. Ever committed by me since of old. You have to listen. Arising from greed, anger, and delusion.
Arising from greed, anger, and delusion.
Born of this body, mouth, and mind.
Born of this body, mouth, mind.
I now acknowledge and accept all consequence with equanimity. Now the refuges.
Three treasure refuges.
I take refuge in Buddha, the fully awakened one.
I take refuge in Buddha, the fully awakened one.
I take refuge in Dharma, the compassionate teaching.
I take refuge in Dharma, the compassionate teaching.
I take refuge in Sangha, the harmonious community.
I take refuge in Sangha, the harmonious community.
So in light of the difficulty of living in a karmic consequence type of world, we take refuge in these three treasures. Refuge comes from refugo, refugari, means returning to. It's not hiding from, it's returning to something from where we came, something already familiar to us. So Buddha Dharma Sangha is your legacy. That is your, what would you call it? It's our birthright. So receiving the precepts, please repeat after me. I have taken refuge in Buddha,
I have taken refuge in Buddha,
Dharma,
Dharma,
and Sangha.
Sangha.
The Tathagata realized true enlightenment
Realize true life.
and is my great teacher.
It is my great teacher.
I have taken refuge
Take refuge
in the Tathagata.
in the Tathagata.
Please look with compassion
Please look with compassion
upon my humble vows.
on my humble vows.
So here, for the sake of those who don't know, Tathagata is one of 10 honorifics given to Buddha, including Buddha. Buddha simply means the fully awakened one. During his lifetime, Tathagata means something like the thus come one, the one who apprehends suchness or comes from and returns to suchness, or thusness, tatha, that, thus. So now, the three pure precepts. And please respond, yes, sensei, if you agree, not too late to back out, when I ask you the question. First pure precept, not creating evil, do no harm. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
The second pure precept, practicing good, do only good. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
The third pure precept, purifying intentions, do good for others. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, sensei.
You must not break these three pure precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. Please bow. It must be said, to be honest, that we observe precepts by breaking them. So when we do, we recommit to the precept. And it should also be said that the purity here is non-dual. It's not morality. It's not moral purity in some social sense. Next, the 5 grave precepts. You have received the 3 pure precepts. Now the 5 grave precepts. These are precepts of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, meaning they describe the natural way or attitude of life of a Buddha or Bodhisattva. Affirm life, do not kill. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
Be giving, do not take what is not freely given. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
Honor the body, do not engage in sexual misconduct. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
The manifest truth, do not speak falsely. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
Proceed clearly, do not cloud the mind with intoxicants. Will you observe this precept until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
You must not break these 5 grave precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. Please bow. So again, do not kill. If we take that literally, it's impossible. So these have deeper meaning than their transparent or surface level. How many ways can we take what is not freely given? How many ways can we engage in sexual misconduct? How many ways can we speak falsely when we know we cannot speak the truth? And how many intoxicants are there to cloud the minds with? You have received 3 refuges, 3 pure precepts, 5 grave precepts. Will you observe these precepts until you realize Buddhahood?
Yes, Sensei.
Remember, Buddhahood is just waking up. No big deal. You must not break these 11 precepts. Please observe these precepts as you have promised. Please promise. So when sentient beings receive the precepts, they enter the realm of the Buddhas, which is none other than the great enlightenment. Truly, they are the children of Buddha. Now the presentation of vestments. We begin with the wagesas. Or
With me a second. And the beads. To go with the beads.
wagesa. And I hold it over 3 times in a circle. It's called the wagesa. It represents the edges of the piece of rope.
Wagesa, all of the robes were like traditionally, monks wove their own robes and started to craft as part of the meditation world. The metaphor of taking on new clothing is powerful and popular. Wear your wagesa when you sit as a reminder of the tradition that you're undertaking today. These are Buddha's robes. You may fit with respect.
appropriate to wear your wage-sa when doing meditation, of course, and cleaning around the temple, other kinds of chores which might threaten to damage or soil. Please put on backwards. How do you know? Next to these, when we place these, hands in gassho, place them over both hands. Put one hand out. Just a minute.
320.
We're going to need another piece of charcoal. Maybe just through the side.
That's being lit.
You can try lighting. You have to make your deep commentary first.
Me? Oh, you. Got it.
Usually beads are 27 beads on the wrist rosary represent the traditional list of 108 beliefs that are considered hindrances on the path. Beads always come in one piece. Think of each bead as representing 4 delusions. The tassel represents the roots of the lotus of wisdom. You may turn each bead as a consecration aid, much like counting your breath. What are the 108 delusions? Read your own list.
Is that it? Uno más. Sí, sí. Wait, you're not turning.
Okay, it's the last one. We're done. Just put it on top because there's still heat there. Let it. Can you do that? Me. It's like that, right?
Serve the certificate
Open it.
as a copy of the ceremony. Any one of the women is fine.
Oops, okay, sorry.
Okay. There's also a set of guidelines in here for you. It's mostly about what you can expect from us, not what we expect from you. All of the names which we have chosen today are from Matsuoka's
No, okay.
later talks in the collection called Mokurai. So each of you, beside your name, be the page in Mokurai where you can look up your name and read something about the context, because it's very difficult to explain these names. Very difficult to explain these names. Trying to share. So we're going to ask each of you to step up again, place one more pinch of incense on the charcoal.
It's burning.
Burning.
Yeah, I can see it from the side.
So we start with Jasmine, please.
This
One
is it.
pinch. This is my seal of approval for this candidate. Step back a little bit. I will. So the name we have chosen for Miss Jasmine Bellamy is Rukiko. Rukiko ni. Ni means non or female. The suffix Rukiko. Rukiko means something like shining like a diamond. So the names have an aspirational aspect that you try to live up to. So do your best. You and I incense this together 3 times around. And then present to you. It has a record of today's ceremony. Next is Mrs. Patricia Quinn Williams. We have chosen the Dharma name of Shoshin Ni, female. Shoshin is the famous term, very big name, called beginner's mind. The beginner's mind is the mind of the most senior practitioner in the Zendo and the first-time attendant in the Zendo. We hold in highest rank that person who comes to the Zendo for the first time. It could be Manjushri, Buddha of the future. We don't know. But to hedge our bets, they have the highest rank. Somebody like me, I'm at the bottom. I'm not the bottom of the totem pole. I'm the hole in which the totem pole is inserted. So let's dedicate this together. You and I 3 times around. So do your best to live up to your Dharma name, Shoshin. Oh, okay. I see what those are.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Yeah. Thank you.
So Amy Pico. I have all these memorized now. We have chosen another rather dramatic name. Mumon. Mumon ni. Ni, female. Mumon. Mind of emptiness. It doesn't mean empty-minded. It means the mind of emptiness. So let you and I incense this together.
Many traditions include the custom of receiving a spiritual name. Choice of Dharma
Do your
name
best
is
to
deeply
apprehend this
considered
mind of emptiness.
and reflects an acknowledgement and understanding of where the recipient is in their practice and where they might go. It becomes something to aspire towards and grow into.
We'll got it. We'll just give it to
We
you
develop
afterwards.
complex associations with our birth names, and our identity hinges on the list of associations. A Dharma name can be a koan. It has no personal history and can be engaged into a new way of seeing ourselves.
Mr. Ryan Lito, please 1 pinch of incense. I'll give him a separate. And then I incense this together. 3 times. So the name we have chosen for Mr. Ryan Lito is So. So is a prefix. It means male or monk. Mondo. Mondo is a very famous Zen term meaning a Zen question. There are many Mondo exchanges in history, which you can read. And as my teacher often said, all the Zen questions are the same question. So please do your best to realize this question. I didn't say the answer. For Mr. Ricardo Delis, that's the correct pronunciation. The certificate literally says, the initiation certificate receiving the precepts Jukai, certifying that Mr. Ricardo Delis, who shall hereafter be known by the Dharma name of So Joruri. Joruri happens to be on the same page as Jasmine's name, and it means something like bright, shining world. Matsuoka would often speak of the world of enlightenment as bright, bright and shining. So we incense this together. Okay. 3 times a month. Please do your best. Find this bright, shining world. Next, Mr. Adam Lewis Barnett. One pinch of incense. We have chosen the name Soul, again, Soul for male or monk. Homon. In the context that you will read, Homon means gateway to easy salvation. But don't build your expectations. Homon means gate, basically. But when you read Matsuoka Roshi's piece on this, he's using it in the context of the gateway to easy salvation, which of course is something. Please do your best to live up to this. Find the gate. Enter the Dharma gate. And lastly here, for today's class, this 2020 class, we have Mr. Jonathan Isaac Mitchell. Please place incense on pinch. Big charcoal. Yeah. And we will insist this together 3 times. We have chosen another biggie, difficult name, So Kyosaku. Kyosaku, the last U is not pronounced. It's silent. All Dharma names are two syllable, so Kyosaku. Kyosaku. Kyosaku is often translated as the blow of compassion. It's a stick with which we use to strike the shoulders on request only, except between teachers and disciples. It's understood that if you need it, we give it to you. So please do your best to live up to this Kyosaku. In your daily life, in your work life, don't hit anybody unless they ask for it. So you did your commentary, right? On the names as well. So I've given my seal of approval for each of these initiates in turn. I just wanted to make the declaration that these candidates have formally become Zen Buddhists. I can repeat all your names. Believe me, I know them. Once I give you a Dharma name, I know your name. And we have a kind of a poetic concluding statement, which one of our former priests put together for us. Purified with the aspersion and shaven, atoned, or at one with past karma and action, with the 3 treasures as refuge and the 3 pure and 5 great precepts as guide, and with new clothes to remind you of this day. Please begin, continue, and complete your new life in the Dharma. I charge the sangha to welcome and cherish these candidates. So please, let's all bow to each other. Welcome to the community. Now,